Oh,
Hello, hello, ¿qué tal? Bellísima gente. Wonderful to see you. Welcome to our show, Que Madre, on 96.5 FM LP. You are with the incredible Ana Rosa Rizzo, the incredible, amazing Siobhan Hoover, and Ali Cortez. This is in partnership with Warrior Mother and Bienestar Counseling, Coaching, and Consulting. And the show is all about love today because we have hearts everywhere. We have so much to share about our journeys of love, what we've learned about love, and the different types of love. Porque no es nada más just, one type of love. This is a manifestation and an expression of love and celebration of love and what we've learned along our journeys about true, authentic, beautiful love. So I'm going to pass it on to these amazing hosts. How y'all doing?
yeah.
Doing Galentines over here.
Happy Valentine's. So, you talked about different types of love, and I think it's important to really identify all of these different types. So there's a self-love, certainly a romantic love, but the love that we have for our gals, for our gal pals and our friends, to me, that has really kind of like settled into my soul this past year or two. So something that's really important to me is the love for my friends and what they mean to me, and then also love for the kiddos and all of that. But yeah, definitely important to have some self-love and ensure you have some friends that you unconditionally love.
Yes, and I feel so blessed to be able to celebrate Galentine's Day with both of you lovely ladies because I have so much love for both of you. And we've missed you so much, Allie. Can you catch us up on your life over the last month? What did we miss?
She's like, what's today?
I'm all like, quick follow-up. So I have missed being on the show. Like, this is something where like it's so special, it's so sacred to be in a space where we can just express ourselves, right? And be heard and feel like, we're putting ourselves out there in a way that is so meaningful. I've missed this a lot. In the past couple of months, almost month and a half, I've just been really diving into a lot of providing trainings in the community. So you've seen me kind of just being, diving into these projects in the community. Private practice is kind of, after the new year coming up. And then I'm also teaching 3 classes at Antioch University. And that has been a beautiful journey, a challenging journey. But I'm excited about the seeds that have been planted there and just, the voices that want to be heard in that space. So yeah, that's what I can say about that right now. But there's been a lot of movement, and I think also taking care of my health and talking about love, like really loving myself during these times where I'm pretty busy and just and I have to have protecting my energy and having to know where it's really jam packed, and then giving myself time to restore. And this is new for me. This is completely new for me, which was difficult because I had to let go of some things I love doing like this for a bit, knowing that I wanted to also really dive into the community work and be really, really present and with the students, the Latino students at this university. It was really pivotal for me to just really be present and also not exhaust myself. So it's been different, and it's been hard to to say no, to say like I'm gonna rest here, even my own conversation, but just letting that go and shaking it off and doing a lot of just a lot of mindful moments, not even like full on practice, just moments where I'm like questioning and taking care of my health and my wellness. So that's what I've been up to. It's a lot.
Yeah.
My day what's been going on. Nurturing my relationship with my husband has been, not that it has to be nurtured, just to like really be present and starting the year and our goals, and nesting has also been something that we are just naturally in tune to right now. So that has been really nice, where I'm like, okay, at this time I cut everything off, and if everything falls off and I'm behind, it is what it is, but what's important, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that's something that, we're both really enjoying right now. So yeah, that's what
I'm
I've been
glad
up.
you can recognize that though, finding the balance in your life and being able to, say yes to the things that you want to do and no to the things that you don't. A lot of people don't do that for themselves. So
I think one of the things that I learned along this way is just how much I was jam packing myself. And so right now I'm like, no, like you can have it all. You just not all at the same time. And so spacing it out. So being like, okay, we're gonna start this project in February, we're gonna start this. But it took January and a little bit of December, because I was going through, like, I was kind of repeating a cycle and I noticed that. And so I had to just not hit the brake, but slow down the train. And that's not easy because it comes with a lot of momentum. And so I think that's been my practice of self-love, to say, that thing that you're super like excited about, this project and this vision, you're gonna have to space it out. You're gonna have to sit down and think it through, and when is the right time, and be okay and be patient with yourself. Be patient,
whew,
trust, and have faith that yes, right now you have the idea and the concept, that you need to nurture this so it'll thrive later on. And that takes a lot of patience for myself, and like letting go of, you have to do it now or else you're a failure, or else you're not doing anything. So I think, kind of tying it in, like, my practice this last month has been a lot of that, like, deep rooted ancestral love for my energy.
ooh wee.
Yeah, that patience for yourself and love for yourself, I think, are very difficult. And that's really what they emphasized at Pura Luna this Sunday, when I went and celebrated with our good friend Joanna Kaufman, who's been on the show before. Um, there was a lovely woman named Eros from Mexico that they brought, and she was talking to us all about self-love and literally just making time for yourself every day. And it doesn't have to be a whole hour, right? Because we're very busy people. So if you make it be a full hour, then you're always going to feel like you're disappointing yourself because you're not getting that full hour, right? So you can even start with 5 minutes. What does 5 minutes by yourself feel like? Um, do you give yourself love? Like, touch yourself, not necessarily to like get to orgasm, but even just to like be like, oh, I love myself. I like how my hands feel on my skin. And just to remember that all of the things that you're wanting, like let's say from a romantic relationship, you can give them to yourself. And I think that's really important, because I feel like as women, we've been sold a lie, like all our lives, that we need another person to complete us. Um, and I think that's, yes. I think, when you truly love yourself, the path kind of opens up for you. And I think that's part of maybe why your train has been speeding so fast towards you, is like you're finally getting to this place of self-love. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for me, that's kind of been happening too. And I'm like seeing a lot more opportunities coming my way that are much more aligned for me than in the past. And it's almost like the universe uh, welcomes it, right? And
Yeah.
like observes it in you and it's like, okay, here you go, because now you can accept it in a good way, in a way where it won't like overwhelm you, and that's why you were able to like say yes and space things out so that it's not overwhelming, but you're still welcoming the blessings, right? So I think that that's really beautiful.
Ooh, yeah. I've also kind of been on this like self-love thing because for so long, just like Ali, there's this idea of if I'm not packing my plate every single day, and that somewhere I'm failing, or like, well, there's time for this and there's time for that, and I have to. And the reality of it is like I don't, and so I had to go into this self-preservation mode where it's like, okay, I if I'm not liked because of XYZ, then that's okay, and being at peace with, you know, with the nose and the balance. Um, and something that really, has kind of come to the forefront of my mind is like, what does a healthy love look like? But first and foremost, I think we all know this. If you don't love yourself, how is someone supposed to love and care for you? So taking that time to actually show someone how to best care for you or how you like to be loved. I'm just not sure that happens enough. Do we take the time to show someone like, no, I make myself a priority here. And so, if you're looking for something romantic, then the universe will conspire to bring you someone who will understand that you are a priority. And I love how all that alignment happens. But I speaking of like relationships and things like that, I oftentimes view different relationships where people might stay in it in this loveless relationship, and like Ali said, you do have to nurture and care and put the time into it. So there are some people who say, well, if love shouldn't be work, it should not be. And that's probably right, but relationships are work. So the love is there, but the relationship itself is certainly something that you have to pour time and effort into. And if you don't, then you do end up in these loveless relationships. And then your whole thing changes, right? Like your whole mindset changes, where it's kind of like, then you feel like maybe you're failing or you're not enough, or so I don't know, what does a healthy love look like?
Well, for one,
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, pick me.
Go for it now.
no, I was just gonna say,
Exactly what you said.
love is a verb, it's not a noun. I think there was actually a song that says that in Spanish. El amor es un verbo, no something something. I don't remember who sings it. Maybe one of you do, but I think that when love starts to feel like a theory, right, then that something's wrong, because as much as someone can say I love you, like, are they showing you that they love you? And I think that that's important to keep in mind, because I mean, pretty words are one thing, but if like you come into your home and you literally don't feel the love, then what are you staying for? But it seemed like you had stuff to say, Ali.
I was just like, weird, like these questions like shake my soul in such a good way, because I think it's the inner Ali being like, ooh, I know, I actually know now what Shimon's talking about, whereas before, and that's part of the healing process, is to go back time and love yourself for the relation, to even no matter what, love yourself no matter what, right? Like to be able to go back to the different phases of you that were hurt, that didn't know what they didn't know, and have so much compassion. I mean, like to do that kind of transcending love that goes back and says, Ali, you didn't know this and now you do, and like to hold her and like to hug her and just like, be like, you did the best you could, you didn't know. Out of that, I really have come to understand that, sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. And I've seen this recently a lot, this trend with like some of my clients, and that, and I appreciate them so much because it's so inspiring to see the work, when you have the courage and the like the light around you to go back and like those are parts of shadows, and it's like, I don't want to see myself in that light. I made mistakes, I made this, and to be able to go back and be like, oh my gosh, you're so divine, even in this state you are such a beautiful light, and you did the best you could. It's powerful, because like then you realize like people can fake green flags. People can fake them, but not for a long period of time. So I think going back to that patience of being patient with yourself, it's like, let's see who this person really is. And yes, I'm feeling these green flags. That also puts you in the initial stages also in a very vulnerable position, because we have these energies, we have these levels of, you have your physical energy, you have your emotional energy, you have your spiritual energy. And when you love yourself so much and you know yourself so in depth, when you realize my wind, fire, water, air, something's off balance, that you have the radar to be like, this is a red flag. I know when I'm at a balance. I know when I got me, right? And the moment someone enters your life and things start shaking, right? The energy start, like you start getting more fire, you start getting more water, it's like, okay, this isn't, I'm not going to normalize this. And I'm just going to pay more attention because I want to acknowledge that the other person might have some learning to do, but it's not going to, I'm not going to be their teacher. I'm not going to be the one to do. It's like, that's their work that they have to do. And we have these conversations and see, how do I recalibrate again? So I've learned a lot about that, like being able to go back and doing that healing work. It's like, people can really fake those green flags, but not the red ones, right?
Yeah.
Not just consistent. So they might mask it with a lot of green flag, green flag, green flag. And then, all of a sudden, they're like, how am I in a situation where there's all these red flags that you're now holding green flags, but they're not, they were fake, and people can do that. And that's kind of concerning, right? I saw Anna like, oh my God.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing is we have the power to get ourselves out of that situation, but we need each other. We need the sisterhood. We need our allies to also help us and keep bringing that light of like who you are when you don't have it. And so I think that's also like such a beautiful thing to always keep in mind, like your friendships are vital. They're a vital part of you, especially in that time where you're vulnerable and you feel like you're detaching from someone, and you're just your auras are trying to attach to a source that's going to fill you up. To go back to yourself, how our friendships can be such a powerful source, and to like not devalue them or to forget them, like they are so powerful.
And I think one thing to note too is that it requires a level of like forgiveness for yourself when you see yourself in a terrible light, or I did not handle that properly when you didn't know, right? To me, forgiveness is part of that self-love and self-care that I don't, I did not often practice that previously, and now it's something that I constantly look back on and be like, oh, that was just a scared little girl, like, let me hold her and tell her she's okay, and like, I forgive you for showing up in that way. But then, like you said, you have your sister friends who are there, who can point out to you like, hey, you know what, no, you are freaking awesome, like you are amazing, and you are valuable and worthy and all of these things, and all of a sudden you're reminded, oh, like, yeah, you know what, I'm all right, I'm okay. And so it's like the self-love is still like at the forefront of everything, and even in your vulnerability, I think that is it's like powerful. And I don't know, I think we all just need to like feel that and know, um know your worth.
Sometimes it's easier said than done.
I know. Well, I used to go through this this thought when you can certainly love someone, right? So let's say you're in a relationship, you love them, that, right? But then do you actually like them? Do they actually like you? Because there's a huge difference. And it's like, I don't know which is stronger. Like, to me, it's like the need versus the want, is like stronger than love. And in some instances, I do feel that way. It's like, I love this person, but I don't actually like what they do, or I don't actually like how they're treating me, but I love them, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
You feel that that's like, how does that compare? Because
I always think of songs when we're talking about love. So another one is La costumbre es más fuerte que el amor, or like habit is stronger than love.
I need
And
you to
it's-
send these to me.
Yeah. And I feel like it's so hard once you're comfortable being with somebody
Mhm.
to actually choose yourself after you've been seeing red flags. And especially if, say, you have kids, like it's even that much harder.
Mhm.
So any advice for our listeners on that topic?
Red flags. Don't ignore them. Do not ignore them. I think communication is always huge, and being able to articulate what makes you uncomfortable or what really bothers you about that flag, or why that's triggering, or you know what I mean? I think being able to identify it and explain it to someone is, eh, you know, um, that's what I would go with first. Talk it out. But talk it out with an open perspective. Because like Ali said, like, sometimes people are just going through their own thing and their own growth, cycle and whatnot. And so meeting someone halfway is it's hard. It's hard sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say like, and I know this like there's always movement, right? It's complicated. Like love is definitely the feeling, but really in the midst of it all, the action, the movement is the attachment. And so like what are your attachment styles, right? Like are you an ink does your attachment it provoke anxiety? Does it provoke like or avoidance? Like does it provoke security, right? So it's good for you to know yourself so well to know like what creates safety for yourself, right? And how can others add on to that safety, but know your safety first, right? Like what is for me psychologically, emotionally safe, and what my interactions with other people, who are the kind of people that provide that as well, right? So that you know yourself when you're like, this doesn't align with me. This is not who I am. However, I'm so familiar with it, right? Because maybe that's where I grew up. And also, maybe it's not what you grew up with. It's just we live in a freaking toxic culture. Like everything around us is like really just insanely toxic, right? About like relationships are. I feel for a youth. I mean, I think I saw a lot of things that were toxic. However, for a youth right now, I'm like, and it came up, right? The studies are showing that, there's an increase in depression, there's an increase in anxiety, self-harm in our girls. So that recently came out, right? All the studies that they've done and how impactful it is. And that's all relational. So like having faith in yourself is so important, because if you have faith in yourself, we can transcend that to the next generation. Like how we carry ourselves, how we love ourselves, that is a huge like just like mirror to say like this is what I need to have faith in myself, because it's how we make decisions, it's how we observe, right? Like, oh, I see you, like I see what I'm taking note of who you are, and your actions and your words, do they align or do they not, right? Because you can talk about love in theory and words, but it's about the actions and the consistent actions, right? Even my chair is falling off. I'm like, girl, so much energy here.
Right.
For those who are
But it's
listening,
movement.
my jaw was like, all right, girl, too much fire. And then the other thing is like empower your anger. Your anger is so sacred. It's an emotion that is powerful, and it speaks to you, and it's speaking in a sacred language that is so gosh, like so intimate with you and your ancestors. They're like, something's here that's not supposed to be in your system.
Yeah.
Something here in your external world is impacting your internal world. Pay attention. And we've learned, because of the toxic culture and just generational trauma as well, like to suppress that anger, yet energy doesn't go anywhere. It stays, right? So then it can become resentment. And the worst part about that is like, then it becomes internalized resentment. You resent yourself.
Right.
Like there's so many other factors out here that are contributing to that. And so, yeah, Sorry, I
No, don't you, first of all, don't apologize. I'm like, I'm gonna take note. Um, no, I like that you said use anger. I think anger can be a powerful tool versus like sadness or depression. Sadness or depression, you might kind of just wallow in it, and there's a lot of inaction with that. But with anger, I just feel like it can propel you to make something happen, to make change happen. Um, and like in speaking of change, you might want things to change in your partner. And when they don't, then you're sitting there like, okay, then it actually forces you to change. So if you are feeling, depressed about it or whatever, it's like, no, move that to anger, because anger will make you move.
Yeah.
Anger will force you to make something else happen. It will force that change.
Until you get uncomfortable with it, because as women, we're taught not to be mad. We're taught to be nice and polite. And we're like, okay, well, this feeling of anger, it's new to me. Why is it staying for so long? Maybe I need to push it to be something else. And I do need to do station identification, unless you would like to, Ellie.
Sure, it'd be an honor for all of you listening. You are listening to 96.5 FM LP on Que Madre Show here with Ana Rosa Rizzo, Siobhan Hoover, and Ali Cortez. We're so glad that you're tuning in. And if you're listening to the radio station, we are so excited for you, for all our other shows that are coming up. And we're also on YouTube. So don't forget, you can see our lovely faces and reactions real time on YouTube.
And our outfit choices, our lipstick choices.
Yes. Always
Which
red.
happens organically. We just like tend to like just be so aligned that we just come in like, oh my God. You
Red and pink. Yes.
Yes. Today's the day.
Speaking of which, can I just say I love that moment if you all watched the Super Bowl or Rihanna's concert interrupted by some football.
Right.
When she was like putting on the lipstick on, making sure people remember that she's got Fenty.
Yes. I was like, nice placement, girl. That was smart.
There was a lot of like really negative comments about her show, and I was sad because I feel like she took up space. Hell yeah, right? I think it was such a beautiful, also like, reflection of like, look at me, I'm a mom, right? Like I'm a mother, and there are people saying like, oh well, she didn't bring people in, da da da. We wanted other artists. I'm like, nah, she had a very special guest up there.
Right. And I have to say, so my kids are 2 years apart, and she just had her baby in May, and she's pregnant again. Okay, I was like exhausted. I would barely be able to like get out of bed most days. And so I'm like, dang, if you could just be on a platform like floating in the air and sing your songs and, like you said, just be present. To me, she's kind of doing a damn thing. And I feel like as a mother that should, she should be respected a little bit more for being out there and doing that. And I heard someone say, well, why would she sign up to do that if she's pregnant and not able to?
boy.
And it's like,
Here we go.
well, maybe she didn't know she was pregnant, or maybe she did, but who cares if
choice.
she is or not? It's her. Yes, it is her choice whether she's gonna be up there or not. I personally, I was like, she sang her song, she did her thing. Sure, it wasn't like high energy as like she might be before, but I'm like, okay, well, she has a baby that's not even one, and she's pregnant. Yeah, let her do her thing.
Well, and the artistic direction of it, because do you know why they were all wearing white? They were supposed to be sperm.
I knew it.
That's what I thought too. I was like, what?
So it was, and then if you even look at her song choice, it's telling a story. Like before, when she was single, then when she was in love and got pregnant and then had her kids and then wasn't pregnant anymore. So if you just like look at the song choices, you'll see why it was done in the way it was done. And she's brilliant, right? And I love that she's making people think, or if they're too dumb to like be critical thinkers, right, and just want to talk crap about a woman of color, like,
Yeah.
because that's so common and such a cliche that I'm so tired of. But
Yeah.
like if you actually watching it with an artistic lens, you'll see like some of the choices she made, and I
That
think
makes
she's brilliant.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
True. I loved it, and I definitely felt like there was just like looking like just this presence of motherhood and how powerful it is. Where this again toxic culture is really like minimizes that so much, right? Like the idea of a mom and how it's supposed to be, and she's coming in with like she's herself. And what I really appreciate, because people were talking about like, oh, the marshmallows, the sperm, and I'm like, oh, what? It wasn't so sexual for you? Oh, okay. Her presence was sexual. Like her sexuality was there. Like her whole like who she is, right?
Yes.
All her identities were there. Oh, you didn't see, a lot of body parts? Oh, boo-hoo. Like
Right. I'm sorry, that baby bump is certainly a reminder of her sexuality right there. Like, how do you think it got there in the first place? Oh my
But it
gosh.
just reminds me just how our bodies are sexualized to such a ridiculous degree that then when someone becomes a mom and like their boobs are not like out, like, oh, but if they're out for breastfeeding, then it's a problem.
Right.
Right. And so it's such like hypocrisy, honestly, for this society to be the way it is with us about our breasts and when it's okay to show them and when it's not okay.
totally.
I could talk for a long
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say, you know me, I'm all about freedom.
Yes.
Let them free.
Attention to like those little details. Like we got together to watch the Super Bowl with the family, and like I heard someone say like they're like, oh, I really appreciate that her boobs look, they're not like up all the way up here, like like they were like just they were hers, and they were protected in her and what she wore, and they were emphasized too, like yes, right, but without like without like and not to say like cleavage is wrong or anything, like I mean I'm down, but I'm just saying that presence of her like in her outfit, like see me for who I am, and I don't need you to accept me. I love myself. I like Javon says, like I'm up here on a floating platform, putting my lips out. I win. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, I'm still a billionaire. I still have my baby, like I still have, the life that I wanted and built. And that was, I just feel like it was really unapologetic. And I have a feeling that she went into it already knowing like people are
Mhm.
gonna talk smack about X, Y, and Z. Might as
Yeah.
well be myself and have fun. She looked like she was having fun.
Yeah, she did. And I think, in that, and you have to have thick skin anyway, when you're in front of people, which I think is sometimes why like I shy away from being like up front and center, sometimes is because like I don't want that judgment. But then also I'm just like, I don't care what you think. Either way, I don't care when I handle things the way I see fit. But for them, it's like the whole world is coming down on them, or you know what I mean? And so I kind of applaud her for doing the things the way she wants to do it. And you can just tell like she's very much in charge. And I love that. Absolutely love it. So
2 thumbs up.
yeah.
Go, Lee.
Yeah, thanks for your self-love lesson. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. So what other types of love exist that mainstream doesn't talk about?
I mean, I think that the love for our kids, it's like been turned into something so basic. And I think it like goes so far beyond what can be comprehended. Like if you're trying to sell things in a commercial or this and that. Like, for example, the other day I went to the beach after work, which is very not normal for me. I was just like, I need to do something good for myself, because it had been a hard, let's face it, like year and a half, maybe 2 years. And so I went to the ocean, and um like as much as I was in the moment, like in the water, in the sand, like we were talking about grounding, right? Putting
Mhm.
your feet in the sand.
Yep.
I also, every single time I go to the ocean, like I remember to find that perfect rock or that perfect shell or both, which I did this time for my daughter that I take to her, because I want like her to have I want her to have beauty. And even like at the Pura Luna apothecary, they had a little station where you could do like little um, love spells. And so I filled up this little bottle with Peridot because Gloria loves Peridot. That's partly because of her love for Steven Universe and the character Peridot in Steven Universe.
I love that show.
Yeah, and I just filled it up with all these things that I thought she would love. And, I took that home to her, and it's just like, she's just a constant reminder with her fierce little Aries self. I know you're an Aries too.
Yeah.
Like
Little fire.
to make boundaries, because like she knows what she wants, and she shows me how she stands up for herself and the things that she wants. And I'm like, I wish I was like you. Like, you're 7, going to be 8 next month, but you're teaching me so much about life and, how to be in my power. It's like things that I forgot, over the years, or that were taken out of me through, trauma, K through 12 system, patriarchy, you name it,
Oh, yes.
And so it's like protecting that purity that's there when kids are kids and have not been poisoned, by the toxicity, as you were saying, of the world.
Yes, that is I'm learning a lot too with my children, and they teach you these things in little profound ways that you wouldn't even, you're like, wait, what? All of a sudden, one thing that I noticed with my son and his friends, so they're teenagers, teenage boys, but they're not afraid to tell each other, I love you. Right? So when they get off the phone with each other, or when they leave, each other, we're like dropping one off, they're like, okay, I love you. And they're like, I love you too. And previously, it just, that's, men don't necessarily communicate in that way with each other, especially as teenage boys. Like they just don't. But I think all of them are very comfortable with who they are, and for me, I'm like, look at the confidence on these kids, and they don't care what anybody else thinks. If they want to tell their friend they love them, then they're going to say it. And that to me is, it's like I'm beaming inside when I see that, because I feel like maybe I did something right in maybe I did something right in teaching him, like, hey, be confident with who you are, and it's okay if you want to, tell your guy friend that you love them, and I don't know, it just,
you deserve many pats on the back.
Oh no, I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but I'm just saying, like, it just, it just feels good. It just feels good.
See, why do you go automatically to I don't need it? Like, accept the compliment.
Thank you on the compliment. I'm learning. I'm still learning. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. But yeah, definitely kids have a way of kind of bringing certain things to light, or to like just make you, I don't know. My daughter once, I was mourning my father one day, and it was just hitting me like really heavy, that he was not here, and I still have those days. But she was little. I mean, she was like 3 maybe. And she's coming in, and I'm like trying to clean up my tears, but then I'm like, it's okay to show her that I'm sad, And then she was like, it's okay, Mom. You don't have to be sad, because his love is always in your heart. And I was like, like, okay, you're right. You know what? You're right. It's not the sadness of, him not, and I kind of like try to explain, it's just that I miss giving him hugs, and that's what I'm missing. So just children have a way of really kind of touching your soul in their own, like, real genuine ways.
Well, I think both kids and animals,
because
I mean, your kitty just
I-
forced his way inside.
He opened the door.
No, but on the kids' point, like, it's crazy how much they can feel us.
Mhm.
Like, the other day I was having a really bad day, and she grabs my face like this, and she's like, you're so beautiful. And it's like, how did you know that I needed that? Like, right at that moment,
Right,
Or
right.
my doggies, when Adelita passed away, if it wasn't for them, like, cuddling up with us and being like, okay, are you gonna walk us? You know, like, are you gonna give us food? Like, they're the reason like we would even get out of bed, you know?
Yeah.
So all those fur mamas out there, we see you.
Yes. Yes. Ellie's a fur mama too.
No, yeah, I mean it's like senses, and I think they just bring us back to, you know, the natural organic state of humanity. They just bring it back to that. It's, you know, there's so much that pulls us away from that. So I think kids and animals who are so present, I mean, like they don't know anything else but to be so present. They learn along later on about suppression and dissociation, you know, like as you know, toxic culture can just chip away at that. So it's beautiful that, you know, we have traces of, you know, just humanity, and they bring that so natural. It's just it's in them. That's what they know.
It's a trip though. How can animals show us more how to be humans than sometimes humans can? You know, like Kaya. Oh my gosh, I miss her so much.
She howls every time she sees you.
Uh,
She's like so happy. Like it's like she's home. Like one of like, you know, like one of us. She's home, and she gets so excited. She doesn't do that with just like anybody, you know. Like she's authentic, and like when she's happy, she's happy, and when she's not having it with you, oh, she shows that too.
the attitude. Well, I think, at the root of it all is, it's energy, right? We're all these like little spiritual beings, and what it comes down to, the bottom line is like love. It's love. And I think their souls are pure in that way. People are like, oh, cats are so evil and they're so mean, and it's like, well, I don't know about you, but mine are like super sweet, and I feel like even with dogs and birds and all of these pets that we have, they are all pretty much loving souls, and it's like whatever else is learned or is taught, that's when things change, but for the most part it's love.
It is, and I think that's another, going back to like what are the kind of loves that we don't talk about like in a mainstream way, which we're starting to a little bit more, but I think we're not in it. We could as a society we could do better about this. Spirituality. That's a form of love, like goes to the past, present, future, beyond what we know. We got a special
Even
guest.
Paris.
I scared him.
It's almost like he knows we're talking about him.
Yeah. Well, I know that we're coming up on our time, and just what are our last thoughts surrounding this topic today?
Oh, just one point I wanted to mention was also colleagues. Like,
Oh,
like sometimes even if you have a really terrible boss, but there's other colleagues there that you look forward to seeing them when you get there. It's like they make it bearable,
the work family.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
work family. So shout out to work family out there, and yeah, just remember to be a good colleague. Don't be rude.
Yes. For sure.
A lot of time at work, so
Your day is, most of your day is spent with them. So, that is important. But yeah, I'd like to see or hear guys saying, they love each other more. I think that lesson from my son is kind of like, that's really sweet. And so that's something that I'd like to highlight for today.
I think for me it's just don't give up on love, right? Have faith, and all sorts of love start with you, so really center that self-love, and more will come.
Yes.
Even if it's 5 minutes a day.
Right. And if you have experienced any glimpse of love, I think that, you are blessed in that way. There are folks out there who never get that, whether it be from their families, romantically, through children, through work colleagues. There are some people that go through life and do not experience love in a way that they should. And then, then they lack that self-love because of it. So if you're out there and you have experienced just a little bitty glimpse of love, just know that it's something to value and hold on to.
And if you're in a harmful relationship or not in a relationship and someone didn't tell you, I love you today, we love you. And we're sending you big hugs and kisses. And we hope to see you or hear from you on our Instagram and all the platforms where we're available. Soon we will be a podcast as well.
Yay.
You've been listening to
You've been listening to 96.5 FM LP on Que Madre Show. See you on our next show.